What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Hair Mistakes That Age You Faster. In today's episode, I'm going to break down 5 very simple mistakes that you might be making with your hair right now that are robbing some of the youth from you. I know, yes, they're easy. And if you are not new to me, if you've been around this channel for a little bit, you know that today looks a little bit odd. One, I'm not out in the woods. Typically, I take you on adventures while I teach you about hair, so I prefer to have waterfalls or views behind me to share these tips with you rather than just a wall or something. But today I'm at our house. So we do have somewhat of a view, so at least you can see something. Not totally boring. Hey. And I have my wife. And there's that view as well. You're like, hey, what about me? This is Deanna. If you don't know Deanna, Deanna, say hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. We are going to walk through 5 very simple mistakes. They are things that are super easy to miss, but also very easy to address. So with all that said, let's dive into some mistakes. Okay, so before I dive into these mistakes, there are 2 things that I need to address before we even get started. First thing is, when I'm talking about hair mistakes that age you or looking more youthful, I am not talking about trying to look like we're 15. I have to say this in every one of these videos, I feel like. I'm talking about looking the best we can possibly look for whatever age we're at. And so keep that in mind when we're going through these tips. The other thing that I need to address is I am not wearing makeup on half of my face. You guys always say that I'm gonna be attacked by a bear out in the woods. Well, I did get attacked by a bear. I got attacked by this one. Thankfully, he's real cute and he lives with us, so he can get away with that. But yes, that's what happened with this. So now that all that's kind of out of the way and you're not being super distracted by what's going on there, let's get into the very first mistake. The first mistake is not paying attention to how much styling will be necessary for a new style. Now, the question is, why do you think that that would actually make you look less youthful?
I would think that if you got a haircut or you styled your hair in a certain way, but then you don't actually style it, that it's not going to lay the right way.
That's exactly correct, but there's more to it. Not only will it obviously not really fit the shape, it won't do justice to the overall cut, but more importantly, as we age, many times, I've said this before, our hair texture changes. And more often than not, it changes to end up looking a little bit drier, and many times that can translate to being a little bit more frizzy and a little bit more damaged. So if you get into a style that requires a lot more maintenance and you're not willing to spend the time on smoothing those ends out and smoothing that hair out, not only will the shape not necessarily look as good as it could, but you also might find that you're actually leaving those ends looking even drier, and because there's more layering going on or whatever, it actually ends up making overall your hair look drier because you see those ends from say now the middle of your hair all the way down to the bottom. Quickly, just so you know, I've done a few videos recently where I take photos of people online and I show you the mistakes that they're making with their hair that are aging them, and more importantly, different styles that they could wear that would address those mistakes. And many of you have asked if I would consider using you guys as models for those particular videos. I'm excited to do that. So here's what you need to do. If you want to be a part of that, go ahead and click on the link below. In the description of this video, there is a link. You will get an email that will give you instructions on how to submit photos so that you can be considered for one of the upcoming videos. And I actually already feel awkward about that.
Why?
Because it's such a fine line to people that I don't want people to think that I'm saying you're wrong or you're bad or you're doing everything. Well, you're so ugly, you look so bad, when that's not my intent at all.
No, what you're doing is you're giving different options, right?
Correct, but I also am telling you mistakes that you're making currently. Yeah, how do you get around that?
But
so
we
with
don't
all
listen
due
to that
respect, with all due respect and love and all of that stuff, just know that that's where these videos come from. It is not me trying to berate people for not doing something with their hair. That's terrible. Mistake number 2, when you change your hair color dramatically, not changing your makeup to work with that hair color. Why do you think not changing your makeup when you change your hair color could actually make you look older?
Well, I would think that if you're changing like from light to dark and then you have dark makeup and dark hair, it could make you look a little washed out maybe?
You're spot on, but here's the interesting thing. People don't change their color when they transition to gray. They use the same makeup they've been using even though their hair has changed. More often than not, when people are going gray, they have a tendency to take a lot longer to achieve that. They're not doing this in one process. So they don't recognize the difference that's played in their skin tone, and they continue on with that same makeup, not making any, even though it might be a slight modification, not making any slight modification to a lot for how that color is now working with your skin. Now, I'm the first one to say I'm not a makeup artist. Okay, so I don't know what to tell you to do to change it. This is why we send people to makeup artists to have somebody that knows what they're doing do that. So if there's a makeup artist that you really like on the YouTube, okay, on the channel, let me know. Comment below. Let me know. Maybe I'll reach out to them, or maybe you can comment on one of their videos and mention me, and we can actually get a little collaboration with them. Talk to them a little bit about maybe some ideas for people as they age in cooperation with the haircut.
That'd be great.
It'd be a good video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've got your favorite one, comment below. Let me know who they are, and head over to their channel and let them know. I'm going to be reaching out to them. We'll do a little collaboration. Do you agree?
Good points.
Good point.
Of course I agree, honey. Of course.
Wow. Okay, mistake number 3 is not addressing that cowlick that you have in the back of your head. And you know what? We all have that cowlick. Okay, I've never seen somebody that did not have that hair growth, that little circle in the back of their head that makes their hair part. Here's what I always hear. Oh, I don't pay attention to the back anyway. All I'm worried about is this. Do you do that?
I totally do that. I'm like, I think I look good. I don't care what the back of my hair looks like.
People don't typically look at you like this because that's creepy, especially with a black eye. That is so creepy, right? I'm sorry. People see you from this angle, right? From a multitude of profile angles.
Profiles.
That made zero sense. But you get my point, from different angles, not straight on. And so therefore, what's going on from the profile or from the back, honestly, is absolutely just as important many times as what's going on from the front. So in the back, we all have that little bit of cowlick. And if you can see your scalp because that hair is parting, it'll have a tendency to make your hair look thin even when it's not. Now, especially if you're dyeing your hair dark to cover the grays, right? And then you're getting a little bit of those roots in, and all of a sudden now that's splitting, it's gonna look even thinner. So not addressing that cowlick, that's a big deal. Here's one way you can address, and this may be like a whole video in and of itself, but a couple things you need to pay attention to if you're trying to deal with those cowlicks is 1, bend equals control. You need to get bend in that hair. If you're not trying to round brush or use a flat iron or something to create bend in that area, it's gonna be very hard to get it to actually get control, which means that you can get it to not part and do whatever it wants to do. You need a foundational product to give your hair the control to be able to actually hold bend once you create bend. Now, the other biggest thing is actually having it long enough. That sounds crazy, but many times in short hair, I see that area, if it's cut too short, what'll happen is basically it'll do whatever it wants to do. As soon as hair gets to a certain length, you're not combing it, right? Because it's too short to comb. You can't get any control out of it. It needs just enough length to get the control so that you can actually cover that up. So that's number 3. Mistake number 4 is not picking the right shape or style for your personality. Why do you think that would aid you?
I mean, you know that I've always wanted to have a faux hawk, right? Like, I think it'd be so rad, but I don't always dress in a rad way. Like, sometimes I'm more conservative and kind of, I don't know. I think that, like, you need to have your fashion meet your hair fashion.
So she's right. So here's the bigger thing. And this is why I say that guys, these tips are, they're going to seem very like, duh, in many cases, like simple. Here's the bigger point to all this. And this is why they're so easy to address, but they're so important. Just like she said, a faux hawk would look great on her. She could absolutely, with her hair texture, with her face, easily she could rock a super short, crazy cut. And there's no question that we could make it look really good on her. So why would it age you? Because when we think about youth, we think about looking younger. I have a younger hairstyle. I have less wrinkles in my skin. We overlook the fact that we need to look more confident. Vibrancy, being awake, alive, right? Standing tall. Those things create the illusion of youth. To me, right? You look alive, you look awake, you look vibrant because you're confident. And that is where this really plays in. If you choose a style that you see in a magazine and you love the style and it looks good on you, but you're not feeling that great in it because you never wear funky clothes. So it always feels a little bit awkward to you, or your job doesn't really allow you to have something funky. So you're always a little bit insecure about how people are going to react. It's going to make you look a little bit less youthful because you're going to lose some of that vibrancy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you following me?
Totally.
You agree or you disagree?
I always agree with you, honey.
That's such a crock of crap. She'd never agree. making a decision on your hair based on, solely on, because you're a certain age, you need to do that thing. Is there anything that you think for anybody that at a certain age you need to X?
Get shampoo sets?
At a certain age you feel that people should get shampoo sets?
I don't know, my grandma always got shampoo sets.
So you feel
and
that they should?
all of her friends, no.
Is there a certain age that you feel like people shouldn't have long hair?
No. I'm
What about, is there-
46. I've got long hair.
What about wear something funky?
No. I like old and funky.
Wow. Is there any age that you think people should color their hair a certain way?
No.
Okay, she's not helping me out here at all because I was highly anticipating her saying yes to one of those things.
Yeah.
Like if I told you you needed to wear short hair, why would that make you look older if you did it versus not doing it?
I would think it would be the confidence issue again.
She's right.
Oh, look at me.
It's about the confidence. Here's the deal. If you're watching this video right now, or if you've watched any of my videos ever, and I told you to do something that you don't feel comfortable doing, you need to stop listening to me on that particular subject or anybody else and do what makes you the most comfortable. Okay, let's calm down now. I don't mean don't listen to what I tell you, okay? There are certain things that I tell you about hair mistakes that age you faster, especially in some of the previous videos, that are fact. Okay, when I tell you about how something creates volume in a certain area and how that's going to define certain things about your face shape or whatever, or how length will determine layering, all of that stuff, that's not my opinion. That's just how hair works. That's what I've learned over 26 years of doing hair. You going short just because we're at a certain age, that's opinion, right? Ignore my opinions when you feel the need to ignore my opinions and then listen to when I tell you facts. Did that make sense? So much sense you can't even answer it? What was that? Just an awkward stare? So, with that said, that's enough of us. You have a fantastic day. Thank you for hanging out. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And there's a video right over, which side am I on? There, I believe, right over there, that right in her face, right there, that you need to go watch right now. Check that out. You're going to learn some new stuff, be entertained at very least. And yeah, otherwise, have a great week. We will see you next week. Take care now. Bye.